The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
What is going on, everybody? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and it is late night astrology tonight. We are doing it live on my Leo King Facebook, and it's a dark moon. And if you don't know what a dark moon is, it's pretty simple to talk about, actually. A dark moon is when the moon is ready to become new, but you can't see the moon. It's gone. Now, that is because, and I will show you an astrological format or from a chart to understand this a lot better, but this is an interesting time. This is a time where things are ending, doors are closing, because big new doors are about to open. And I want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and if you're going to watch this as a recording on my YouTube channel, I want to say thank you for watching this, because I think that this is a very important time to talk about. This is with Mars and Uranus as well, making a very powerful aspect that will happen Friday and to Saturday while the dark moon is happening. Now, the dark moon gets darker and darker as time goes by. And in the case of this dark moon is going to get darker and darker as Friday and Saturday go by, because we don't have the new moon technically until like Saturday night, Sunday, depending on where you're at on the planet. Now, if we were to actually look at this from an astrology standpoint, this is right now in the astrology. Now, if you take a look at it, you can see the moon is at the bottom of the chart with the sun. You can see the moon looks like the moon, and you can see the sun looks like the sun. And what's interesting is, we are now within that 30 degree of separation, in between that 30 degrees. So this is the dark moon phase for the next couple days. And combined, see this Mars at 21 degrees. See this Uranus at 21 degrees. We are here. We are at the major square point, and this can bring out a lot of intensity, a lot of change, unpredictability, things turning on a dime is another way that I like to say it. Things turning on a dime. Just like, whoop. Whenever you got Mars Uranus, it's the car literally spinning out of the banana. Do you guys ever used to play Mario Kart? You know, it's kind of like when you come and slip on a banana peel. So you kind of fall into that banana peel sort of way. But on the dark moon, especially because it's in the sign of Libra, this one is definitely going to be intense about connections, about relationships. And especially because we do have Jupiter here in Libra, this is where the doors are opening up now. This is also Uranus in the opposition part of Aries, which is dealing with, the mirrors of ourself, the relationships that are on target with where we're going and the ones that aren't on target where we're going. And then on top of that, we're dealing with Mars and Pluto in Capricorn, where it's this world that we want to achieve, this place we want to go. And so turning on a dime and being spun out in new directions is a big part of where all this is going. Now, we can also look at it from a three-dimensional point of view, if that would help people out. Let's see here, which I think it'll help people kind of see what's going on. if it'll like allow me to do this. Let's see here. Boom. Alrighty. So if we go to the three-dimensional from cosmicwatch.com and we look at the astrology right now, Mars and Pluto have finally broken off. You can see it right there. See that at the bottom? Mars and Pluto have broken off. And we'll zoom in on them. So Mars has passed Pluto, but Mars now has to deal with Uranus right here at the exact same degrees. And so there's a big square happening. And let's look at that moon phase. Here's the sun with Mercury on top, by the way, and that's a whole nother subject we can talk about. And look at the moon. It's closing on in, about to pass Jupiter, coming into the morning, into the night. And this is going to be a very big positive transit, I believe. I believe that this is new doors opening, but it's going to be the hard new reality that we have to face. And that's how I believe that this is. Now, if we actually go into my Facebook chat, a lot of people had questions tonight regarding what I should talk about. Now, I did show this picture, and this picture is how I'm describing Mars square Uranus. And a lot of people got upset, like I was making fun of Hillary Clinton or something. It's like, I'm just having some fun using what's around a picture that everybody has thrown around and showing what Mars is and square Uranus is. It's, what did you just say? I even said it like this. This is what I said. I said, all the fast change that is happening over the next couple of days, you might look at your life like this. Like, what is going on? Oh my God. And it's crazy, you know. It's some things you might think that's crazy. Now, I put up a post saying I was going to be in the Leo King Studios, and people wanted me to cover some certain aspects to talk about. A lot of people said relationships. Some people are saying what happened to the live stream. I just didn't. It takes a while to do this show, so let's actually separate this from the background so people don't get confused here. How to remove people from your life who no longer serve you, eliminating toxic people. We are going to answer that question. There was a couple other cool questions that we had tonight. There was one other. We had a lot of comments. What about the upcoming 2 weeks? I have been prepared by my manager and told our next cycle of work is going to be brutal. I think that's going to be something we should talk about. Bashar said that big change is coming now. Everything will change in the fall of 2016. Would you like to talk about this? I actually talked about this with Rick Levine in our interview. If you watch that on or it's on my YouTube channel. Let's talk about those two questions first. The first one, and I don't even remember because we got so caught up. What was happening in the next 2 weeks? Oh, and eliminating or getting rid of toxic relationships. So this is how you have to look at it with the astrology right now. Mars is in Capricorn. You have to be tough. And I said this in my weekly uncut. You've got to be tough. It's not easy being tough. You know, Mars in Capricorn, it climbs the mountain. It's the goat. And an emotion is a very difficult place, especially when you have a dark moon in Libra. The emotion wants to connect to people, but it's about having those tough conversations. It's about having those honest conversations. And it's about, you know, doing what's right to get to where you got to go in your life. Now, there was one other question somebody asked actually, on here on my thread today that was very good. Somebody said that the energy is going to be waning down or weakening over the next couple weeks, and why I said that in my uncut and why that's so important. The reason why I said that's so important is because the energy is going to slow down. This is a peak energy to make decisions with this new moon in Scorpio, trine Neptune, Mars at the final decan of Capricorn as it squares Uranus, as it comes through the Pluto-Uranus square. Because when Mars comes into Aquarius, there's no fixed sign energy. Mars is not going to be making any squares. And it's going to be making some trines over to Jupiter, so there's going to be some positive doors opening, but the squares are where these more intense decisions are made. The easy access of Mars in Aquarius, breaking free of cycles and stuff happens. This is where you make the tough decisions. Then what happens? Mars after that, as we begin the new year, comes into Pisces, which is very soft, and it can feel like things don't get done as much. And so we also are getting prepared for a Venus retrograde year at the beginning of the year. Remember, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde coming. And if we actually look ahead in the astrology, which, I know it pretty well in my head, but if we actually take a look here, let's see what happens when the Mercury retrograde happens. What other planetary aspects are happening? Because that's important. So to remove toxic relationships is easy. You got to do the tough thing. You got to remove it. You got to have the conversation. You got to let go of the connection. You got to go towards what's the best for your life right now. And maybe some people are not going to understand it. Maybe some people are going to have a hard time understanding it. But that's the part about being tough. Life is tough, but you can get where you got to go, and it could be great for you in your life and get you to the place that you want to go. And there's a lot of that going around with this Mars square Uranus. You're having to learn to be bold in ways you haven't been bold. That's the whole point of Uranus in Aries, actually. Whenever you have Uranus in Aries, you got to remember that we're learning new ways to ascend our strength, to ascend not only our ego, I hate using that term, but our identification, our power, our masculine energy, the direction and where we want to go into our life. So there's a lot that comes up with that. And there's a lot that comes up with this Mars square Uranus, especially as Uranus is in Mars-ruled sign and Mars is in exaltation. This is extreme. This also covers the last 2 years of our life because in November of 2014, Mars squared Uranus, and that was a big, powerful point. And then, of course, in March, I think, of 2015, Mars and Uranus conjuncted. So that's going to happen again coming up in 2017. Now, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up, and let's switch to that. The reason why the energy is about to slow down after this next couple weeks here, especially after this election, is as we come out of November, Mercury goes retrograde on the 19th. This is while Mars will be at 16 at the halfway degree spot. So, and there's no tension. Now, Mars will sextile Jupiter in December, but Mercury retrograde is going to happen during the holidays, especially like Christmas and Hanukkah time. And then Mars comes into Pisces, which is very weak, and Mercury will be retrograde. So we start the new year off kind of a little bit weak, I'm going to be honest with you, with the Mercury retrograde. And on top of that, we're going to have Mars in Pisces, and Jupiter will be opposing Uranus. Now, that will be, I think, a big aspect. And Jupiter will also be trining or sextiling Saturn. But those are going to be not as amplified because of the fact that the personal planets are not strong. So this is my word of advice to people. This new moon that's coming this weekend, and this is why I said it in the report for the Uncut, I believe that you're going to have to make tough choices right now. You're going to have to do the big things that you want to do, because once the energy comes in December, once it comes at the end of November, when Mercury starts to come into its shadow period, we call it, Mars is now in Aquarius. It's not making any tension. It's in positive aspects. Things kind of are real loose, especially if you want to make some business happen right now, or maybe you need some money in your life, or maybe you need something like that. This isn't going to be the greatest energy. People go home for the holidays. Business shuts down during the holidays. And this year, the business is going to shut down a lot. We're also going to be, especially in America, in between a presidential shift. And I think that's going to be interesting with the Mercury retrograde, Mars in Aquarius into Pisces, which is already a weird place for Mars. Mars goes into the spaceships, basically, when it goes into the outer planet realms, okay? And so it's about to come into the outer planet realms. And it's about to come into some really weird, funky energy. And so the energy is not going to be like it is now, where it's like you can go, you can make things happen. We got Mercury that just hit conjunct the sun today. So if you look at the astrology of today and you really understand how astrology works, and especially with the sun and Mercury, which is they've conjuncted today, which means they've finally come to the exact point of crossover, you got to realize that when you look at this, Mercury is officially at full speed ahead. Mars is in its exaltation, squaring Uranus with tension of exciting, of random change. Venus and Saturn are conjuncting, major decisions in relationships, major decisions in your life. We've got a new moon happening in Scorpio. This is it, folks. This is the big, powerful, transformational change. What Bashar talks about to answer that question is now. This is the big change that's going to happen. And the whole waxing part of the moon, is when the moon comes to the full position over the next 2 weeks, is going to be the big radical change. Because when the full moon happens in Taurus, which if we just take a little bit of fun and we look at it, and we take the days ahead, okay, new moon is going to happen Sunday, sorry. Then if we watch what's going to happen here, let's look at the quarter square of the moon in Aquarius. That happens right before the election. That's going to be pretty crazy. But then if we look at the full moon in Taurus, Mercury's in Sagittarius, Mars is in Aquarius, Venus goes into Capricorn, not the best, and things, I think, peak out then, and I think everything has kind of splashed itself out into the universe as we peek into the creation of our lives. And that's also going to be the South Node conjuncting Neptune exactly that week. That will be the big kind of finishing off of unveiling, disclosure, deception, whatever you want to call it. And the next new moon is going to happen in Sagittarius, which is going to happen at 7 degrees, and it's going to happen square the nodes exactly. And that point, November 28th, it's actually going to happen November 29th based off the calculation. That will be the final point of this portal, and then things slow down because then Mercury comes into its slower spot, and things are going to start slowing down. And so there is some positive stuff, Mars, Uranus and stuff, if you look at this stuff, but I'm going to be honest with everyone. This is it. This next month here is going to be the most powerful in these next 2 weeks. Somebody, asked me in the questions, what was it about this next 2 weeks? And it really is this new moon. It is Mars square Uranus. It is South Node Neptune. It is Saturn, Venus. You can't ask for much more in the astrology. And what's funny is it comes out of nowhere. So, people wrote to me today, like, I still am not feeling something when I put the Hillary picture up. It's like, well, and I put the Hillary picture up not because of Hillary Clinton at all. I put the Hillary picture up just because of that face of kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? What's happening? And I think people have to kind of look at that, It's a change that's going to happen out of nowhere, and it's going to catch you off guard, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And so that's why I think it's so important to know what's going on right now, and know that this is the change point, because that's what it's about. And, if you do look at this, this is quite a, whoa, what is going on? Some people might think you're crazy, and that stuff always comes out of nowhere. I was trying to think if I had any other cool things to show from it, but no, it's just some Leo crap that, whatever. But, that's the main thing, though. And you got to remember that this is also October. This is the ending of October. Halloween's coming up here. And with Halloween coming up, there's this really crazy release on this Halloween happening with Scorpio energy. And really, this is a true Halloween, folks. A real Halloween. You're going to feel it. And it's going to kind of come out of nowhere because it's weird. It's like we know Halloween's here, but we're feeling like Halloween really is going to be the signal of a new world that's unsure, unknown, exciting, and rapid amount of fast-paced change. So it's quite exciting, actually. Pretty exciting about it. So let's see what people are saying right now in the chat room. Out of nowhere, yes. Totally feeling the Scorpio. Saturday's your birthday. Woo! Awesome. The veil is thin. I like that one a lot. The veil has been very thin, but that's also Neptune that is starting to stop. When Neptune starts to stop in Pisces, you can feel that really thin veil. It's pretty thin. It's pretty crazy like that. My whole week has been that feast, or is it fast or face? You shared on the app about Taurus lighting the 12th house. Yes. I need a big shift. I'm over the mud. I ended a bad relationship a month ago. I'm feeling very emotional about Sacred Stone Camp. So I some people have been asking me about that. I guess I might do an Astro Buzz tomorrow about more kind of world stuff. I wanted to keep this more about our own personal spiritual growth this week because, especially about this transit. But I definitely think, world event wise, I think tomorrow and Saturday is going to bring out some really intense things. I think all of our lives are about to go through a lot of stuff. What are my thoughts on the protests in Dakota? I saw that. I think it was about a pipeline today and the cops are involved. I think people are all really starting to wake up. One thing about Scorpio energy is you wake up your true insides, you wake up how you really feel, you really start to unveil how you really feel, you really start to set your boundaries up. And with this, dark moon in Libra, you feel like where there's justice not right, you feel like things aren't fair and so forth. And I think a lot of that kind of played into that. Especially when you get a dark moon in Libra and now it's opposing Uranus and it's doing all that stuff. So that's kind of crazy. What's up, Moses? How you doing? It's good to see you. He's an astrologer. If you guys didn't know, follow him. So it's interesting to see the people here right there. But, all the events that are happening right now, you got to wait for this new moon. This dark moon phase with Mars square Uranus and with all this weird stuff, wait for this new moon to happen this weekend. It's truly going to make things that much better and that much more ready for you to go, ready for you to take the place that you want to go. And I think that it's hard for people because when you look at what's coming up, folks, I'm going to just show you in the chart, in the chart again, is, and especially November. November is going to be weird. Stuff's going to happen. Jupiter's going to be flying fast in November. But look at this. Venus comes out of off Saturn, comes out of Sagittarius, and then it comes into Capricorn and kind of goes a little bit more quiet. Mercury, it comes into exciting Sagittarius and flies really fast through it in only 2 weeks. Look at that. 0 degrees on the 13th and 25 degrees on the 30th. Mercury's going to go so fast in November. November is going to fly so fast, and the next thing you know, you're going to come in December. And I'm going to be honest, for people who want to get work done or make things happen, if you're lazy right now with Mars and Capricorn or you're not getting that work done, it'll catch up with you with the Mercury retrograde and all that stuff. It really will. It'll catch up with you hard. And I don't want you to come into a Mars and Pisces with a Mercury retrograde in the starting of the new year. It might feel like the new year is going to kind of be like a really chill, like mellow, like really just like, rah, rah, rah. And even though Jupiter, Uranus, and Saturn are going to be doing their thing, that's going to be really exciting. I think that there's going to be this kind of like still like, well, I'm excited, but I'm kind of, let's just chill in this for a little bit. Like maybe, it's like not trying to push it all too hard either. So, that's what I have to say about that on my late night show. Does anybody have any other cool questions that they might want answered while I'm up late doing open lines right now for your late night with the Leo King? So there's this thing about the pipeline and the American Indians. I have not followed the story fully, so I cannot give my full opinion on this. Sorry. I wish I did. So somebody asked a good question about heliocentric astrology, which we can have some fun and look at that real quick. So let's do that. So heliocentric astrology is where you put the sun at the center of the chart. And of course, you look at the planets, they don't go retrograde. What's going to be coming up, which is very interesting, look at this, guys. Wow. So during this crazy next couple days, we got Mars and Neptune going to conjunct in the heliocentric. It exactly conjuncts on November 3rd. We've got, what else is going on? It looks pretty mellow in the helio, to be honest with you. Mercury's going to come into there. Mars and Neptune. Let's look at the election day heliocentric. I haven't looked at that yet. It's Mercury square Neptune. That's pretty intense. That's not knowing all the information. That's deception. That's not all the facts clear. That's the heliocentric chart. So this is some deep astrology. This is heliocentric, tropical. I'm using the mean node, but it really doesn't matter because this doesn't really talk about the nodes. Earth is at, of course, the opposite sign of Taurus at 17 degrees during that. And it's going to be interesting because Mercury is squaring Neptune in the Mars conjunction during that time. That's kind of intense, to be honest with you. To be real, I think that that's a lot to look at. So whoever brought that up, I want to say thank you very much for talking about that. I am totally stoked that you brought that up. That's just super cool. I should have thought, put it this way, I should have thought of that one before. Vote counting issues will come up. How about tomorrow, 14 degrees? What about tomorrow, 14 degrees? I mean, if you want to go into degrees, there's a whole other thing. If you tried to quit drinking or smoking, if you tried before, or should you, I lost that one. What are your thoughts on relationships coming up in light of Venus, Saturn? I think that this is a powerful time for people making big decisions in relationships, new relationships going to a new level, old ones saying where they're at, being honest with each other, all the things coming up with all the Scorpio energy, with the Jupiter energy, with the dark moon in Libra, with the opposition to Uranus. This is a definite time where I would say big relationship stuff is being set so you can move forward into the next month and kind of moving your life forward and not having this hanging relationship world anymore. Somebody's saying they're thinking of giving up drinking. I'd recommend it. I gave up drinking over a year ago. I'm on like a year and 3 months, and it was an awesome thing that changed for me. And I don't regret it at all. So to be honest, I'm stoked about it. I love it. Now, I am going to take a quick break real quick, and I will see you in 60 seconds. Wake up to astrology like you've never seen before. Welcome back to the Leo King channel here on Facebook Live. Right now, we're talking about the dark moon, the next couple days here, Mars square Uranus, the unpredictability. And I haven't really given it that whole Leo King, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. But that's because I'm really coming from a very grounded space for this event, because whenever you deal with Uranian energy, whenever you deal with Mars and Uranus, you know, man, you got to be careful. This is weird Trojan horses that come. This is weird things that happen. These are weird accidents. This is banana peels on Donkey Kong Lane. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important to kind of come from a grounded place and so forth. Now, we are doing open lines right now live in the chat room. So we got the chat room popping right now. People are all in there. Make sure that you join us. If you have a question that you want to do, join us in the chat. Please talk about what's happening for people born in 1985 through 90 who have the new moon on their Pluto. So a lot of people, but I don't want to segregate because there's so many people, but just, with the Pluto generation of Scorpio, right? People born from 1984 through, I think it's like, late 95 and even later, have Pluto in Scorpio. And that generation is really intense. They're the generation of, they call it the millennial generation. Now, I would say the cutoff of the millennial generation kind of is that period. Like Pluto Librans are a little bit more, they grew up in the 90s and they grew up in the late 80s, and so they grew up without internet. They grew up with still having to use a telephone like I did. I'm a Pluto Libran. So for people having the new moon on their Pluto now, this kind of comes into the generation of where this millennial generation has to, I think, not only determine where this election is going and what kind of world that they want to live in, but being the exposers of truth, being the exposers of the universe. Like, are they going to be the one that changes the world or not? I think the Pluto Scorpion generation has to be the one that makes those powerful changes. And being a millennial, you have to be one that has to kind of step up now. I think this new moon on Pluto for you guys, without Saturn there, without the North Node there, without Mars after it's done its retrograde stuff, you're at a place now to where you're going to have to step up. You're going to have to be that generation that speaks the truth. And I think during this election, you're going to have to come out and speak that truth. You're going to have to come and say whatever the lines that feel wrong or right. It's funny. I mean, you guys are either going to be the generation of Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. But it's kind of interesting that, I bet you just based off the astrology that most millennials vote for Hillary Clinton just because she's a Scorpio and maybe she has a grip on all your guys' Plutos. Just putting it out there. Somebody brought up indigo children, and indigo children can kind of come in many different forms. I know indigo children that have Pluto Libra. I know indigo children who go all the way back even to Pluto Libra and Cancer, and they never grew up. You know what I mean? They were pushing it for forever. I like to do more of the Dolores Cannon aspect, which are the three waves. The first wave, the second wave, and the third wave. And I believe that the first wave of the Pluto, Cancer, and Leos teamed up with the first couple deacons of Virgo, and then the second wave is the last deacon of Virgo, all the Pluto Librans, the first deacon of Pluto Scorpios, and I think the third wave is this Pluto Scorpion ending, this Pluto Sagittarius, and this Pluto Capricorns that we see really going to push the world forward. And I actually think there's another wave that Dolores Cannon didn't cover in her speakings, which are the Pluto Aquarians that bring in the new age fully, which technically, if you look at how when ages shift, they take a while to shift. And you would see by then when those children grow up, for the kids that are going to be born in the 2020s, when they're in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, when they're in their 2070, 2080, 2090, you're going to start to see the new age come out to its strongest. Is it a time for deep conversations about the future relationships? Yes, that is a great question, especially with this dark moon in Libra, especially with all this Scorpio energy. I would say that this is the biggest time for big discussions in relationships. I would say that this is the biggest time as Venus is conjuncting Saturn for serious discussions about the future and where things are going. And somebody just wrote in the chat room, Dolores Cannon with a question mark. I would look her up. She passed away. She was a very good spiritual teacher, did a lot of great things on the internet and wrote a lot of great books and did a lot of public speaking events as well. And I followed her. She was one of my inspirations into the work that I do. So I'm watching the chat room as I'm going on here. And there's a lot to think about when we come into this energy over the next couple days. There's doubt that comes up. There's the doubting if you can can make a change. There's also chords. I talked about that in my Uncut. Dark Moon in Libra and all the energy that's happening, there's chords. And when you have chords, sometimes those chords are old. Sometimes those chords are with things that need to stay together. I think we come into a place in our life where we find chords that we don't want to really let go of, that are healthy for us, that are the right ones for us. And then we find chords in our life that we realize are done and are ending and are over. And those chords go more than just relationships. Those chords go into projects. Those chords go into ways of life, lifestyles, even parts of our own ego that we are living in a certain way. So chords can come into many different aspects. And Libra to me is much more than relationship. It's the chords attached to our ego. You know, our ego is just our ego, but our ego is alone all by itself. Libra is what we attach our ego to. So somebody had brought up that they wanted to, give up drinking. So I think, like that's an attachment or a chord. Or maybe somebody wants to give up, like Tinder, and they like going on Tinder a bunch. I mean, there was one moment when I was like a Tinder buff, and I just loved talking to new people all the time. Or maybe somebody wants to give up being on the internet all day, and maybe they're addicted to Facebook, and there's a chord that they've lost that in, and maybe it's time for them to kind of pick up off that or something. This could also be a chord that you have maybe with eating or with anything. I mean, relationships that we have go much more farther and deeper and mirrored than relationships of people. They go in all forms of direction. And so this is us kind of breaking, I think, with Scorpio, our boundaries and exploring new boundaries, and especially with Saturn and Sagittarius and with a powerful Scorpio sun transit with Mercury conjunct here, I think we're starting to understand who we really are, who we really feel we are, where we really want to go, what barriers we're ready to break, what things we want to let go of, so we really can move into a new direction. So coming back to the chat room now, somebody put Tinder buff, with the thing, yeah. I have to quit smoking. And one thing, I quit smoking. It wasn't easy, but, smoking, it's what you feel like, is honoring you or not honoring you. Only you can make that decision in Libra and Aries. Please mention X relationships dealing from this year. I don't know what to tell you, Rob, about that one. I would say that the relationships of this year, especially X relationships, I would say, are they really over? Maybe you've got to, figure that out or go deep into that. So, pay attention to that. I don't have my cards on me. You guys would have to wait for a second for me to go get the cards out. I would have to throw a commercial break real quick to go get the cards. So if you guys really want to get the commercial break going, I'm going to do it. Let me go get the cards. I'll be right back. This is my commercial for my movie, which is called Age of Deception. AgeOfDeceptionMovie.com. Go check it out. I'll be back in a minute.
And I feel that hope has been really shitty on the planet.
To reach heaven or into the heavens of God. What the hell is going on? What's going on?
To have the right perception.
Hope in the desert to me is the hope that people are going to be willing to really just pay attention to their own research and make a decision, whatever it might be, to just bring to that place of oneness. Because that's the trajectory, that's the destination. Alrighty, everyone, I am back. Welcome to the Leo King channel, and we are live talking about astrology, the dark moon, all this stuff, and everybody wanted to know what the tarot cards had to say for all the energy that's going on. We are live right now in the chat room on Facebook, so if you want to join us right now, please join us. We got all these cool people in here talking about things right now. You can watch the movie at AgeOfDeceptionMovie.com, or you can watch the movie on my YouTube channel, The Leo King, and you can stream it from there. You'll see it on my upload list. All right. So before I do this this card reading, I'm going to ask for the universe to clear all the negative energy in my own aura. I'm going to ask for a prayer from the highest guidance of God and the universe and all the angels to make sure that we have a clear and present guided message from Spirit and that we get direction for what this dark moon into new moon phase is all about. And by the way, Sunday I will be doing a live new moon ceremony, which will be, of course, my spiritual dance sessions. I will be doing that on Sunday, so don't miss that. If you're around, you can watch it on your cell phone. I'll be here live on Facebook. All right. So let's see what the cards have to say for this energy of this dark moon phase and whatever the energy is that's coming up with this Mars square Uranus, and over the next days, what everything is going to happen. Let me just do a little quick shuffle here. Kind of doesn't feel like I've... You got to remember that on the app, I do these cards like non-stop. Like I literally, these cards have done so many readings, not only on person, but every day on the app and every week with the weekly tarot. If you're not on the app, I do a weekly tarot report. So it's like just stop. It's just like, wow, I just constantly am doing these cards. You know, these cards feel like they're never fully shuffled, to be honest with you. So let's see what the cards have to say for this energy. A little bit of a cliffhanger there. First card we got is the Ace of Rods reversed. So this is us really having to look at what makes us happy, what isn't making us happy, and how to clear that energy. I think that these are walls in our heart that need to be claimed, and by being claimed, they need to be recognized. Walls of our heart, reasons why we can't have happiness, and removing those blocks. This is a week and an energy about removing blocks that have erased us from having happiness in our life and having good energy. You know, the second card that we've got is the Ace of Cups upright. I think this is crazy. I mean, you guys saw me shuffle this deck like crazy. So we got two aces, but we got an Ace of Cups. So this is a renewal of emotion. This is a renewal of feeling. This is a renewal of really coming into a new personal happy space. Now, it's this different of true heart space. This is emotional space. So maybe our hearts might be a little off, but our feelings are feeling right. And maybe it's our feelings that are going to start to help our heart come back online, to help our heart come back into a better heart space. And that's what I believe that this energy and this reading is really talking about. The third card in the challenge card we got is the Three of Wands upright. So when you get the Three of Wands upright as the challenge position, you know, I mean, maybe the difficulty is seeing how far this future really is going, seeing where everything is going, seeing how it's going to all work out. I think that we're going to have to kind of go off a little bit of blind faith, off the blind faith of a feeling of renewal, a feeling of trying new things, a feeling of going in new places, a feeling of going in new directions. So funny that it was at 11:11 that I just pulled this card or these cards, but you know, that's the challenge is seeing exactly where it's all going to go. You just got to have that kind of blind faith, that kind of blind feeling, and knowing this is for our heart. This is to reset our heart. This is to bring our heart into a much better place and to get it in a much better vibe, you know. Overall card we got is the Four of Swords reverse. So this is definitely not a time of rest. Unfortunately, you know, things are moving fast. And overall, there's not going to be a lot of rest. There's too many things that got to happen. There's always going to be something that's going to come up. And sometimes, you know, that could be difficult to deal with. You know, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to renew my life. I don't know where things are going, and things are going really fast. And is this right? Do we need to take a moment and take a breather? Do we need to meditate on this? I don't think so. I actually believe that, you know what, this is the go time. Like, the universe is going to give you plenty of time to meditate on things and receive things and look at things and all that. This is a time where things are going to go, go, go. And so write it, take it. This is where the log writer showed up, and your log is here. And there's only one that comes every so often. So it's like, go. Okay, I'm on it. You know what I mean? So kind of an interesting card to get for us of the overall card. And our fifth card, our spiritual advice card, and that's an interesting card to get. Our spiritual advice is the Death card upright. So when you get the Death card upright, The spiritual advice is to make major change, to let things go brings new revival, to brings new beginnings, to not have fear, and to come into, this is new lives that are being formed. This is totally a total thing with what's going on with the Scorpio new moon and the revival and the removing and the removing of light and the removing of darkness and the coming into a much more powerful position in transformation of self. I'm going to pull one more card for the election. I got the Fool card reversed. So we're all not fools about this election. Maybe they think we are, but we're not fools. We all know something weird is going on, and we will all not be fooled. So it's a good thing that we got that card. Now, I have a couple announcements to make. First announcement is the week of, and actually, you know what? I'm going to pull out my calendar here just so people can see. Let me get this calendar up. Month. I have some live talks coming rather quick here in November. I'm going to be in the Pacific Northwest. So if anybody is in the Seattle area, in Seattle, I am looking like I'm going to set up a talk on the 7th, the day before the election, and do a live stream from there. But I'm also going to be in person and do a talk that won't be live streamed. There will be a live stream version. There won't be, but I will be in Seattle. So if you know anybody in the Seattle area, let them know I'll be there. I'm going to find a location. I'm going to do a talk live in Seattle on Monday, the 7th of November. On Election Day, that night, I'm going to do a talk in Portland, Oregon. So on November 8th, election night, I'm bringing the live stream computer. I'm finding a place, and I will be in Portland, Oregon. So if you know people in Seattle or you know people in Portland, I'm going to be in both those cities doing a talk. I'm debating whether I do a talk in San Francisco on the 9th or 10th. That's still up in the air, or maybe Sacramento. I'm unsure on my way back. But I'm going to be up doing some family stuff and some rearranging in my own personal life, going through Oregon, going through Canada, believe it or not. I'll be in Vancouver on the 6th for the day and the 7th. But I'm not going to do a talk in Vancouver. I might, unless there was enough people that are in Vancouver. But I'm going to be up in that whole area. So Seattle for sure the 7th, because I want to do a powerful talk before the election and do a powerful prayer and do a powerful thing in person. And then the night of the election, I want to do a live show with people live, with people with us, where we're all sending good energy through the election. And I will be in Portland for that. So that's where I'm going to be. I'm putting the information out this week coming up. And of course, people have been asking me about how to submit to become part of the Leo King app and be a personality and make money on the app. That video I'm going to make tomorrow and post up tomorrow. I want to separate much as I can. So if you know people that are going to be in that area, let me know. It'd be cool to let me know. Anyway. That's all I got for you all tonight. I really appreciate you joining me. It was really fun to talk about this stuff. Be excited about this energy. Watch my uncut. Watch the app. Follow me on the app. Let this weekend really happen. I'll be around Sunday to do the live spiritualdancemusic.com, which I always do that new moon ceremony. But thank you all so much. Hope to see you if you guys are in Seattle or you're in Portland. I will announce in the next week sometime at the beginning of the week, I'll give you guys the location, and it'll be cheap. It'll be like $20 or $30 to come. And anyways, it'll be awesome. Of course, I always find a great location. Hopefully I can find a place with a projector. I have a projector where I could do a full presentation slide and do a really fun show. So if you know anybody in Seattle or you know Portland, or if you can email me info@theleoking.com if you guys know of really cool spots that maybe I can do a presentation and have people and have because every time I go to a city, I usually get 50 to 60 people to come. It's crazy. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. So I need a place that can hold that many people. So, anyways, love you all. I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for all the support. Hope you guys have a good, crazy next couple days. Remember the picture, and I'm going to show you guys really quick, with this energy of what's coming over the next day. I mean, already tonight, Mike Pence, his plane almost crashed. That's nothing compared to what's really coming in the next 24 to 48 hours. And I put this picture of Hillary up. Be prepared to be, what the hell just happened? I'm your host, David Palmer, Leo King. Thank you so much for supporting me on the Leo King app. I truly appreciate it. And I will see you all on my next live video, or hopefully on the Leo King app.
Wake up to astrology like you've never seen before.